The views and opinions expressed on the Timeless Voyager Series Podcast are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Timeless Voyager Series Podcast or the host, Bruce Stephen Holms.
Hello everyone, welcome to Timeless Voyager, where the knowledge is timeless and you are the Voyager. I'm your host, Bruce Stephen Holms. So buckle up because today's ride may be a turbulent one for you. Today's guest is Les Durrant. He's coming to us from the Mineral Bluff near Blue Ridge in the beautiful mountains of Georgia. Les says that he is an accomplished ghost and UFO hunter. In 2021, he discovered a method to record ghosts and UFOs using his cell phone and other cameras. He teaches people the method he developed so anyone can do it. In fact, in our last Timeless Voyager podcast with Les, he showed viewers and listeners how to record UFO videos for themselves. The episode is the YouTube Timeless Voyager number 311. So you could check that out and see in detail how to do it. So without any further ado, welcome to the show, Les.
Hey, thank you so much. And thank you to your viewers and listeners for having us on too. And I'm very excited to see what we have today and show you what we have as well. So thank you for having me back.
All right. So for those of you who are wondering, we have selected images that I have put through a number of filters to show or hopefully show that while the picture itself may appear to be just a little blob, I am able to, through a number of different filters, show its apparent shapes or different shapes. Now, before I continue, I want to say that this in no way is proving anything. It's just to show people your work.
Yes, right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that as well.
All right, so this is an enlarged original, a little pixelated, of a UFO, I believe. What can you tell us about this one?
Well, this was one that at first I thought it was a plane because it was just kind of blinking red, but the way that it blinks is not like like you see normally on planes. It's kind of a different kind of like wow, like a vibrating like that instead of just like blink, blink, blink. This is kind of a blink and back. So when I saw this, it was basically over Murphy, North Carolina, which is east of me, about 15 miles. And when I started looking at the video on playback, you could see it just kind of doing these crazy things, just kind of moving around like this, kind of twisting around. And so when I stopped it, I noticed that there was different colors in there, different shapes in there. And when I started looking at it frame by frame, I couldn't believe it. And then I asked a friend of mine, Nigel Impey, I said, how can you see these any better? He knows a little bit about this stuff as far as the graphics and stuff and how to bring out the colors. And he just said that that these vehicles could be using these as a hologram, and there's a bigger vehicle behind it. And when I started to look at him, I was like, oh my gosh. And then when I talked to you about it, that it totally made sense. The Merkabah, did I get that right this time?
Yeah.
Merkabah, okay, vehicles. And I'm gonna have.
We need to tell people what the standard definition of a Merkabah is.
Yes, please. I'm gonna let you do that.
I'll do the best I can. So, right now, the definitions are embedded mostly in spirituality, which is not helpful at all for us today. However, we're going to start expanding these definitions so that they come into the realm of ufology. So a Merkabah vehicle is, and you hit upon it without knowing it, it's a light vehicle. So it's a vehicle made up of light,
Mm-hmm.
and it's intelligent life. Now, I'm not sure I know what that means,
Mm-hmm.
but if I show a different picture of the same vehicle,
Mm.
this is called a gradient map of the same picture we just looked at.
Right.
It changes the fuzziness into something that actually seems to have a perimeter, a defined perimeter. Now, I'm
Oh,
not saying that it does or not. I'm just saying I used this particular gradient map and ended up with that. So if we go back and we look at this one, this is
mm-hmm.
the same, but it's using what's called an exposure. So I'm changing the exposure. So
Okay.
the light part is not really defined. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason that I did these was to show something that's very important in the show. And that is that we know, and you've just described it a little while ago, that it's not a plane
Right.
or any other craft that we're familiar with, in that the duration, very important word, the duration of the blinking is much different so
Yes.
far. And so I hope I didn't want to interrupt your flow, but I wanted to use that to show what I discovered using the different um, filters. Now, before we continue, I think it might be appropriate to show one of the MP4s that we have.
Yes, that's it.
Okay. There we go.
So why don't you go ahead and tell people what we
Here
look.
I came.
Yeah. So right there, that's Jupiter, and then that little dot that's heading towards
Heading
Jupiter.
southerly.
That yes, it's heading southerly. That little dot is the craft, and
Turn
you
So
can
zoom in
Jupiter,
tell.
before I lose it.
but Jupiter's not moving because it's actually the camera that's moving, right?
Right, because I'm following the vehicle. That's correct. And
Okay.
so you can,
15
yeah, so you can
seconds.
see how Jupiter was steady, but this right here is making all kinds of flips and turns, and as if I'm being jiggly with the camera, but I'm not, because it's the camera itself is still actually
Thank you for showing
in
us that.
focus. I mean, it's still steady, so I'm still holding it just like that still, and it's doing its thing. Now these stills that you've taken, yes, that's from this part right here, this last part where it starts to fade out. That what I did with this is I exported all of these frames, and I use 60 frames a second. So if it's 10 second, hey, 60 times 10. So then we have that many pictures to look at. And as you know, from looking at them, you can tell that each frame or every other frame, it changes. And from the stuff that you see in there, it's very unexplainable, but it's kind of like trying to send you these pictures is what it is. And what are they? Who knows? Are they meant for our brains to pick up if we see them? I don't know. That's one of those just pondering questions. It's just kind of beyond me. I really don't even have an answer for it. But
So you're saying that the Merkabah vehicle is sending information for us to see?
that's what I think. I think that
Hmm.
there's some reason. Why would it want us to see all these different pictures and shapes? And what could we do with them? But subconsciously or subliminally, we see things probably daily that we don't just recognize right away. But after watching it, you say, "Oh wait, I've even had people look at it and say, whoa, I just thought I saw something in there, like a picture." And they're just watching it at the same rate. They're like, "Oh, I just saw a face," or "Oh, I just saw this," or "I just saw that." So I think it's meant for different people to see different things, but it's still meant for people to see something, or it's still meant for something to happen. Um, or else why is it there? Now there's things that we just cannot comprehend. We just as humans, we just cannot comprehend it. And I think that that's part of what this is. And I don't know what else that vehicle is putting out, if it's putting out any radio frequency or anything like that, I do not know. That's why I like to talk about this one quite a bit, because it's just such an anomaly. And maybe you might have more information on it than I do. I mean, from what we've talked about before, it seems like that you could be very knowledgeable on these. But I want to see what else you got, because I really appreciate everything that you've done, even teaching me how to do it on Photoshop and how to manipulate them and look like that. I really like the idea of that gradient. That was kind of cool to be able to see that shape.
All right, let's go to the next one. I've got to see what I've got here. This is
Yeah.
the original. Okay,
Mhm.
why don't we talk about this one?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What is that? Just another.
Yeah, that's just one of the frames. So that is 1199 out of about 1200 pictures. Yeah.
Okay, so that's all we have on that. Here's the same one now enlarged.
Okay.
It's interesting, it has that little tail in it. And
Yes. Yeah.
okay, so
That's how
here's,
you,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Okay. Yeah,
Go ahead.
that's how you can kind of tell there's something a little bit different there. And that's why, I really appreciate your help with this, because with your knowledge of Photoshop, and people are like, oh, it's Photoshop. No, 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 no. Reverse that. It's enhanced by Photoshop. It's not created by Photoshop. It's enhanced by Photoshop. So with this right here, yeah, I can see a little bit of that. And I like the idea of being able to bring that out more. So even with the gradient or whatever you got to show me, I'm all eyes on this, because you show me some stuff that I've never seen before that now I'm learning, and I'm all about it. Oh yeah. Yeah. I really like that. Now, how does that now you might know more about it than me. How is it that we get that color?
What's interesting, when you do a gradient map, you just pick a color. So I just
Mhm.
picked a
Oh,
color,
I see. Okay.
but
Okay.
all of the colors show the same basic thing. I felt that the purple would be easier to see
Mhm.
for the moment. But what I
Yeah.
found interesting was the inside of that thing, as you can see, is pink,
Mhm.
which is a little bit different from the outside, which has an actual, um, I don't know
Membrane
why
almost.
it looks just like a membrane or something.
Yeah.
I agree with you. That's pretty weird.
Yeah.
What I'm doing right now is I'm looking for some other ones. I have the same one, I think, again, with a different filter. Just a second here.
And you may know as well as I do if you can do these in batch. If you could batch process these with Photoshop, shoot.
Well, if you well, you would have like 1,200 of the same filter. It's like it's an awful
Yeah,
lot of information.
right.
But
That's
yeah,
true.
no, I understand what you're saying. Let
Yeah.
me see if I can find this other one here for a moment.
Okay.
Uh, it's not easy. Okay, let me check here. Okay, so this is the same one,
Mhm.
and I use a filter called artistic.
Oh, okay.
And again, I want to emphasize this is not telling us anything other than it's a filter.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Can you zoom in with that?
Actually, I can't.
Okay, no,
Or
that's fine.
if I could, I don't know how to do it because I'm
No,
in
that's
this.
fine. Because what I'm seeing here are these little squares and little.
There's something I can do. No, that's all I can do.
Yeah, I like the little pock marks on it, or the little. Oh, I don't know, the
Well,
little
I'd be
circle.
careful about that because I think, and this is what we were talking about before we started the show.
Mhm.
I think that those may be pixels,
I see. Okay.
but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That's why I have to be careful about this because when you're using digital, which is what we're using right now,
Mhm.
um, what you see could also not be important, so to speak.
Right. You can be seeing something that's not really there, or yeah, I see what you're saying.
Okay, so I'll go back and I'll show you now. This is the original.
Wow, big difference.
Now,
Wow, that was good.
so what we have here You got to be careful, like I said before, because if I enlarge this one anymore, it becomes pixelated. So
Sure.
when I started coming up with the idea of using the different filters, I noticed that I could show things that would, in a sense, leave the pixelation alone and try to find maybe area. That's what this one is showing.
Mm-hmm.
Or the next one. Let me grab that one.
Okay.
I was
Wow.
able
That's
to increase or decrease the exposure.
mm,
So it shows a very interesting point that you made. You're talking about a vehicle behind this.
mm-hmm.
Whenever I was using a filter, I could not figure out what that filter was doing. But every time I used it, it it made the entire area of the black that we're looking
Mm-hmm.
at, it made the entire area fill up, and I couldn't figure
Mm-hmm.
out what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Yep.
I would have
Yep.
known what you said today if I knew that yesterday. I would
Right.
have realized
Right.
I was looking at a vehicle behind a vehicle. I didn't get that.
Yes. Yes. And let me tell you about that. So I think before when we were trying to cut an episode, and I was kind of showing you this filter using Snapseed that you can. I don't know what all you can do, but you've kind of stumbled upon it to where you can actually see a design in the background, around the object that we're looking at now. Like you said, you could actually see design to even to a point where I'm going to say it could look like a circuit board. Now I'm just saying it could look like a circuit board. If it looks something different, then that's fine. Just from what I've seen is it looks like a tapestry. Like you'll see like these different colors and different lines that do all these things. And then you can even sometimes see, now this is crazy, but sometimes you can see the projector. I think it's kind of like aiming up like this. Let's see, aiming up, and then the what you're seeing is right here. So this is the projector making this up here, and
Mhm.
and we're seeing this like that, right in front of us. So you can actually see that little projector hole.
Well,
Um, but
now check this one out. Hold on.
okay, all right.
That's the same one, but with the gradient.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. See those little dots and all that below it?
Yes.
They're they're kind of hard to. I mean, they're a little bit hard to see, but I can see them fine.
No,
Yeah. Wow. Wow. No, hey, you, you got me. I'm speechless. That's that's why I love working with you, because you know your stuff. Yeah, yeah, that,
So I liked a minute ago or a few minutes ago, when you
mhm,
used the term kind of like a cell membrane.
mhm,
I like that. It's an interesting
right,
concept that
mhm,
so again, we don't know if it's a Merkabah vehicle definitely,
right, right, definitely, yeah,
but the question is, what is it if it's not a plane. That's the
no,
purpose of all this. And
right,
this is the point of calling it a UFO. But
mhm,
really, the actual term is unidentified flying object.
yes,
Now, this is if we identify it and say it's a Merkabah vehicle. So it's an identified flying object in that sense.
mhm,
And so what I'm trying to accomplish in today's show is to show people something that is a little bit different from what they're used to seeing.
yeah,
Because the expectations that have been set up by many photographs from the 40s and 50s and 60s, okay, we have
mhm,
vehicles that are different.
yeah,
They're almost, in a sense, metallic, in a sense, made like out of metals of some type. Now, I'm
sure,
going to exclude the Billy Meier information because that was proven that while they looked like they were metallic, he actually had gotten uh, substances from the two basic Pleiadians who flew those ships and
Hmm.
and gave them out for a metallurgical. Um, uh, I forget the right word is. Well, I'll use the word observation.
Yeah,
But
sure.
but the thing was, what it came back as was metals that are not known. He
Love it.
had them, and no one could identify them.
Right.
So what I'm saying then is, if we eliminate the Billy Meier information, and we come
Hmm.
back to this doesn't look like what people want
No.
UFOs to look like because they've been trained by media, trained by films, the Hollywood. I mean, they're being trained that the
Yes.
only possibility is that it's like this object that we understand. This is an object we do not understand. And,
Correct.
and so when I call it a Merkabah vehicle, I call it that because I know one thing about this. It appears to be light. And the
Yes.
Merkabah is a living light or a projection of a living light. But
Wow. Okay. Right.
whatever it is, it's
Yeah.
not made out of metal or what people want them to be made out of. I know I spent a
Right.
lot of time on that, but I just thought I would.
No,
Let's
that's great because and I wanted to break in because I have other craft that I've recorded that seem to be organic and they move like fish, like they'll kind of suck in and then they'll go like that. They go like
Hmm. So they have like a wave type thing that they do.
yeah, yeah. And it's really weird. But I wish I could catch something like that during the day, but the stuff that I've got, yeah, it's organic. It just seems to like be living, like a living thing. I caught one the other day. In fact, I caught it the day before yesterday, and I haven't even produced it yet. But I got kind of a white cylindrical object, and it moves like this
Hmm.
at an angle, like a pin or something, like this, kind of like that, instead of along the line like a plane would, or something like that. No, yeah. So I think that there are more organic type vehicles out there too that we just do not understand. I mean, people have a hard time understanding UFO. Some people have a hard time understanding UFOs, but I think even more would have an issue trying to understand a living one. Either way, it doesn't freak me out in any way. I enjoy it. I think it's great. I think it's just really cool that I was able to kind of record it.
Take a look at this one.
Okay.
This is the
All right.
original, the 1280. Okay, talk a little bit about that while I pick up the
Okay.
rest of them.
Yep. Pretty much same thing. So that's number 1241, and we were looking at 1199 earlier. So yeah, so just within from 1241 minus 1199 is that many frames difference. And so yeah, so right now we're just kind of looking at a little dot, but show me what you got. I'm excited.
Okay, this is done with a um, what's called a neural filter.
Mm. Whoa.
Now,
Is this
I don't
also in Photoshop too? Oh, I guess it is. I'm stupid. It says PS.
know
Wow.
Photoshop. Now,
Wow.
I want to emphasize once again, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure what this neural filter did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it's showing. But what I do know is it's showing something quite a bit different from what we've seen before.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I love it because here's what I would love to do. That zip file that I sent you, it's not that big. I'd like to send it out to anybody who wants it. I want to send it out to kids who are just learning how to learn graphics or graphic design, who know this stuff like the back of their hand. Like like when you were teaching this, and you knew it like the back of your hand. You know, But I want to give it out to everybody. Say, you know what? I'm going to try 5 other filters that Bruce didn't try, and say like, man, wow, this is really cool. And then send them back to me. Hey, why not? Let's
So,
get all the different
so if you're going to make that offer to
Yes,
people and they're going to use Photoshop, they need to be using recent versions of Photoshop. So like
correct.
22, 23, or 24,
Yes.
or even 25.
Yeah.
They're not cheap, but that does not mean, now I want to be very careful here. That does not mean they can't use Photoshop. If they're going
Right.
to use some other program to do it, then in
Mhm.
order to make this worthwhile and to make sense, they need to say what the name of the program is that they're using and what the name of the filter is and what they did. So this is
Right.
not some, so that's something I wanted to say, and that's important because if we're going to work together
Yes.
with, they need to work together with us, right?
Right, right. And that's what me and you had spoke about that before, and now I have a plan as far as how to do it. I flatten the image, make it smaller, and then trim, filter sharpen, sharpen, and then do the toning. And now I'm going to try some neural filters and try some other filters just to see what I can get. Now I might not understand what they are.
Well, I don't know if you
Now
can even get these filters come with, okay, I'm not going to make a comment other than that.
right,
I'm not sure what particular version of Photoshop you would need to go into
mm,
the neural filters, but
sure,
okay,
right, yeah,
let's look at this one. This is the same one now, but instead of the neural filter, this is the exposure.
mm,
So now what we're looking at, obviously, is we're looking at defined edges, but almost
yeah,
three-dimensional.
mm-hmm. Now I've got a question for you. How would you define the edges of this better to make? Well, let's just say, how could you 3D it?
Okay, I did not 3D it. So what I'm
Oh,
saying, if I
mhm.
said something about 3D, I should have said it
No.
appears to be 3D, but it's not. Let me just say this. If you look at this as two pictures,
Mhm.
one embedded in the other, okay, the very white part, that is the object. And then the rest of that may be, I use the word may, underline the word may.
Mhm.
It may be nothing more than a part of the filter of the exposure, which is making the light go out and at the same time having it become less and less until it becomes nothing.
Yeah.
Was that clear?
That's very clear. Yeah.
Okay.
And if I had time and this is all I did was doing this kind of stuff as far as like graphics and all that, I would
You
probably
wouldn't
go
be
in there.
going to work. You wouldn't be going to work if you had the time to do this.
I know. But if you were to test it, say, okay, I'm going to test. I'm going to take a picture of this with a flashlight and just go back and just try some different things, and then experiment for yourself oh yeah, that's what I'm seeing, and oh, I'm getting this back here, and whenever I move this around, it brings this out more, and that kind of thing. But yeah, yeah. Now, if you could just imagine using the narrow filter even on the others, too. I mean, that would be something that would be fantastic. I love this picture. I think this picture is incredible. This one right here, I think, is probably one of my favorites so far. I'd like to see see what else you got, but and I know you don't have a whole lot of time, but anybody who wants to look at these, yeah, by all means. This isn't just my stuff. Now, if somebody comes out here and decides to use it, that's fine. Hey, they can just, a little bit of attribution's cool, but I don't care because I've got stacks and stacks more. You've seen some of my stuff. I got tons of stuff, so it don't matter. It's not like that's the only thing I've got. But I want everybody who is interested in this and who wants to know more about it to experiment on your own and see what you can bring out. And what you brought out is pretty dang cool. I think it's way cool. It looks great. Okay.
Now you see what's happening though. You see that I'm talking about the pixelation.
Yes.
That's the pixelation that's showing up. That's why I was being very careful and I wanted to start using these other filters
Mhm.
because I felt like the only thing that the pixelation was going to do was keep adding things that don't really make any sense and they lead a person to have a particular false idea of what's going on here.
Correct. Wow. Okay. That's quite interesting. Yeah. I really like that too. And you can even zoom in on these to see what you can find. And even if it's
So here's the
the
caution, people, though. The minute that they zoom in, it's also
you're
going to
gonna get
become pixelated.
right. Yeah. So
Right.
that's why you have to have you have to start off with a good master or a good original, right? Is that kind of what we were talking about before?
Well, what I was trying to say was that anything that's digital
Mm-hmm.
will have stair stepping in it, which is pixels. And then
Mm-hmm. Right.
whatever you do, the pixels get big the bigger you make the picture, the bigger the pixels. I have this one that we talked about up front, called Merkabah. Let's look at this one for a second, and let's have you talk to people about how you got this and what it is.
Okay. Okay. Yep. That right there. That looks really good on your screen actually too. That is a craft that I saw at my mom's house. My mom lives about 5 miles from here, and it was near New Year's Eve, and we were just over there, and she was making dinner, and I told her, I said, "Well, I'm going to go outside and see if I can see some craft or call some craft." And my wife Claudette was with me too, so she was still inside talking to my mom. I went outside, and just in the time that I opened the door, said, "Is there anybody out here? Can you show yourself?" Went outside. I was kind of looking around. Then all of a sudden, this thing pops up, and at first it looks like a plane because it looks like exhaust, but the exhaust is going down, and the craft is coming like this. It's sticking out like that. So you can see right where it's at. And if you look at the top of it, oh yeah, that ain't no plane. You can see 3 dots right there in the middle, and it's pretty well defined. And when you watch the video itself too, you can go into my YouTube channel, which is Objects and Orbs. You can see stuff spinning at the top of it, like around. And so my mom comes out and she's like, "Yeah, that ain't no plane. That ain't no a bird or a plane." And because she knows, she's like 82, and she's like, "Yeah, she liked that." But now I'm going to preface this or post this with saying that because we called it, my dad recently passed away in December, and we think that when we called it, that it showed itself to us and my mom and Claudette all at the same time because of a confirmation, just some sort of a confirmation, because my mom knows that the UFOs are real now, and my dad did, and I told him about it. He saw some of my UFOs before he passed, and so sometimes I think that they know, they just kind of know us, and I don't know. I will also add that there are times where I walk outside. There's the other day I walked outside, there was one waiting for me, and then just kind of whoop. Just by the time I went back to get my wife and say, "Hey, there's one," went back outside, it was gone. Just like that. And
So let me interrupt you for a second. Let's
yeah,
talk a little bit about the same uh, MP4.
I'm getting a video of it. Hey, can you go get my mom? Hey, Mom? We just called that within seconds, and it looks like something interesting.
you're gonna like what she says.
Hey, Mom, come look at this real quick. Look straight out above the tree. You see that white blob thing in the sky? You see it straight above?
Which tree, honey?
The middle tree.
The big one?
This middle one.
See that white?
One. See that white thing above it?
Look here what I'm looking at. Look at my phone, what I'm looking at.
All right.
You see that out there?
It's right
Yes.
out there.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We don't know what that is.
I don't either.
That just came and I just called it.
He said, is somebody gonna come by tonight? And then we seen that
Oh
sitting
my
there.
gosh.
Yeah.
That's not a cloud,
Mm-mm.
is it?
No.
No,
That's Bula Bula.
that's something.
Mhm.
Not a satellite.
That's my mom.
No. And let me see if I can zoom in any closer on it. Oh, I can. Well, maybe. There we go. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's an orange.
Wow.
Wow.
And now you can see, you see it turning at the top and blinking.
Looking.
Yeah,
Yes,
it
it
is.
is.
Looks like it's propulsion, but
It
like,
does.
is, you're
It does look.
but it's not moving. Is it? It's not moving.
It's moving.
It is moving
Yes,
slowly.
look at the top of it. Look at the top.
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's moving
you see it?
slowly.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like it's propulsioning up.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Wow, that's cool because you can see the
Mm-hmm.
rays of it. Like, that's
Wow.
cool. That's freaking cool.
Yeah, that was like
I wonder
okay.
if somebody launched a rocket or something.
Well, so Mom, that was well, you heard me. I mean,
like a drone rocket.
it was right as I walked out
Look
here.
at it. Look at it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Kind of getting into a sphere.
A sphere, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's
That's crazy.
Yeah, I like
that's
that
pretty.
one.
I'm just gonna let it record.
Yeah.
You got to remind me later on.
Yeah,
when it gets
that's
dark,
good.
Dark to give Hank his
Okay.
vinegar
Okay.
for the.
So it was there for a while.
Wow.
I mean, it's like,
Dang,
and then I'm like, okay, you can only stay out there so long. But with that, hey, we had two other witnesses, and then then there's my mom, and she tells it like it is, and she lives she has a lot better view than I do, but she's lived here since the 90s, and she's seen some stuff up in the sky, and now that I'm seeing that again, I'm like, wow, that's just pretty cool. Now, you can mess with that, or what you can do. Anybody can do this too. Is you just take your camera, or don't take your camera, but download the video, or just if you want a copy of the video, that's fine. Pause it and then do whatever you want. Take your screenshot and jump in with Photoshop or your favorite graphics program and see what you can do. But to me, that looks like some kind of curtains that are kind of coming down, or I don't. Okay, this is gonna sound kind of strange, but a hot dog bun. I don't know, just like you open up a hot dog bun and then that middle part comes down like this, but that top part up there, yeah, who knows? But this right here is also one of my favorite ones. Yeah. And being over Blue Ridge, Georgia, that ain't no rocket. Nobody shot up a rocket in friggin' Blue Ridge, Georgia. There ain't no way. and look how big it was too. That right there, I have no idea. I just like being able to take the pictures and trying to get the best picture that I can get. I don't ever really like to say, oh, well, it's from here, or it's from there, or it's this, or it's that, because that would put some kind of a thought into your head. All I can say is that they seem to want to know what we're doing. They seem to want to take care of us. And do we look up in the sky enough? No. I did have a few people say I saw something like that recently. So that right there is also a good confirmation to me. And, somebody like you who's worked with Photoshop for forever, you can look and say, well, I'm seeing more in this than maybe you're talking about. Or I know of a way to bring out all of those, even if it's kind of an AI kind of a thing, where it just enhances everything down to the micro or whatever.
Okay, so I did come up with something that I wanted to bring up. So I want to mention this to you.
Sure.
The real issue is the camera could be digital if it was a telephoto lens.
Mm-hmm.
So if the lens could
Right.
deliver an incredibly large image,
Yes.
then when you're working uh, in a medium like Photoshop or any of the other digital mediums,
Mhm.
you wouldn't have to uh, live or die by the size of the pixel because you
Right.
wouldn't make it much bigger than the picture already was, so the pixel would remain very small.
Sure.
That would be a great way to do this. Having a camera.
Mhm.
The only problem is, okay, I mean, I can see it immediately. The minute that you use a telephoto lens, you lessen how much of the sky you can get.
Right. Yes, that's
Which
exactly right. I had a bunch
which
of people tell me, "Oh, you should get a make it, zoom in." I'm like, "Well, that's really nice, but you're missing all this out that's over here."
yeah.
So, yeah, with your suggestion on that, especially at my mom's. So, with that, you get more of an expanded view. Now, for me, if I just aim it straight up, then I'm going to get just blue and it's going to be pretty small. But if I aim it outwards, maybe at an angle, that would definitely help because I don't know how many miles worth or
Well,
I,
here's an interesting point here, and we can
mhm,
end on this. In the Billy Meier situation, or in the Dorothy Isaac situation, Dorothy was a woman who took incredible pictures of UFOs,
mhm.
really incredible pictures. One of the books that I publish is called Contact with Beings of Light. And then that's one of the more famous books that has all of those uh, photographs in it. Now, she called upon them and using an 8 millimeter camera,
Okay, all
got
right.
incredible pictures. Now, Billy Meier called on them and he
Mhm.
used, I believe, 16 millimeter.
Okay.
So if you call on them, or when you call on them, and get them to show themselves, then if you have a telephoto lens, you could get some really good, solid, enlarged pictures.
That's a very good idea.
There you have it.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. And I think now for me, since I don't really have a whole lot of digital style cameras, other than I have just my cell phones, and then I have that 4K camera. But if you were to have even some, maybe they don't have to be the newest brand new thing. But if you let's say you're a photographer and you don't use all your cameras, you got one you can spare just to sit out there and just let it run. But it's a nice camera. Hey, by all means, go for it. That would be great. I mean, the guy who shot the documentary I'm in, Bill Howard, he's got like a $5,000 friggin' camera that's not too bad, and it looks very nice and clear.
So maybe
And
we can get some help from the people who watch the show.
yes, that's exactly right. That would be great. And um, yeah, that's something I would like to be able to work on to be able to get some kind of a fund to where we can get more equipment. That's really what it's all about. I'm going from these little security cameras and I got this cell phone and I got my this little 4K here. And so, but I would like to have something just really nice that I could leave out there and just go back and grab it to where it will have a better picture and better resolution. Now, granted, it might take a lot of space, but what we've been talking about as far as making it smaller or trying to get what we can or try to zoom in and capture it, it's just a process that probably just needs to be worked on to where we kind of can perfect it as best as we can.
But we need
It's just
photographers that are watching.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because there's I want people to say, "Oh, well, there's this out that you can use or there's that you can use." Okay, that would be great. That's
Oh,
that's what we need.
Les, I got to
Yeah.
wrap it up. Thank you for watching and listening to the Timeless Voyager Series Podcast. As you all know, we're on video players like YouTube, Rumble, audio players like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Chrome browser, and many more. I want to thank all of you who have subscribed. It's been really a tough ride here. I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers. we've still been stuck around 600 for quite a while. So please support the growth by subscribing. It would be very helpful. And of course, it is free. Share. Boy, if you can share some of these with people that don't normally listen, that'd be a great idea. Comment. And most importantly, or at least one of the more important ones, is hit that like button. Liking is really important. So subscribing and liking are really the way this thing goes and gets going. I really appreciate everybody. My name is Bruce Stephen Holmes. I hope that your own personal voyage through life towards development of your highest potential is a joyous and successful one.
See the light, see the light. The light exists where you don't see the light. Father, mother, sister, planets too. They all see the light and they follow you. Hear the light, hear the light. Thunder clapping in the dead of night. Father, mother, sister, planets too. They all hear the light and they follow you. Feel the light, feel the light, warm and tender, so we feel alright. Father, mother, sister, planets too.